It's the Old Mill Cemetery from late 1800s. When they sold the mill off, the two cemeteries were taken care of. This one, most people didn't know it was here. It's what they used to call the children's cemetery, as most of these kids died of fever. My grandmother was one of them that lived, but she got it, and it made her have a bad heart for the rest of her life. A lot of these old stones you can't even read because they were scratched into the rock instead of actually carved into it. You can sort of tell which youngins came from families that were better off than others. Most of these kids were under 5 years old when this happened. Looks like just about everybody in this one is from the 1800s. That one, 1893. I don't know how many may still be up in the woods that they've forgotten about over the years. Looks like somebody's building a warehouse or a garage up there on the hill. It used to be really peaceful out here. Down there in the holler, there used to be an old schoolhouse. It's gone now. Looks like somebody's come in and put the headstones all back up. They were scattered a lot more than they are now. The last time I was here. And see this, we get into these graves here. These graves were from the time period when the Spanish flu was. This person died in 1915. 1917 was when the big outbreak was hit and went through the. This grave is from 1918. The child was less than a year old. Let's see, September. They were born in September. They died in May of 1918. So they didn't live but about 8 months. Looks like they had to do some repair on some of these stones that had fallen apart. So I guess from the late 1800s, late 1880s, well actually early 1880s because that one was 1882, to about 1920 is when all these kids died. Over here some old markers There's the footstone, and here's the headstone, but they're not carved. And that's what I was worried about, I think. The last time I was here is how many of these old graves are, can you not even tell are there graves anymore? All the coffins are gone. They've been in the ground for well over 100 years. Well over 100 years. But these are the kids that died from the very first pandemic here in the United States, other than, I guess, what happened to the Native American Indians, which I am one of. Of course, those are long stories, but for those of you that don't know, the British actually performed sort of a germ warfare against the American Indians, intentionally giving them blankets that had disease that they knew was going to wipe out the entire tribe. And a lot of these atrocities that you think were American made, they were made by the British in attempts to gain control over portions of the United States that they had lost control of. I hate to think of all the atrocities that we are actually guilty of, that our forefathers were actually guilty of. Two of my great-grandmothers were left with members of the church when they were just babies here in Clarksville in 1838, when the U.S. military rounded up all the Cherokees and marched them to death to Oklahoma. And the ones that were in Oklahoma, they marched to their deaths in St. Augustine. It's hard to stomach. I've been meaning to come down here. I come down here once or twice a year. I just live over the top of the hill there.